Greenblood, my friend. Do you need something?
I wondered if you ever felt lonely.
I always do. Why, do you want to rectify this?
I hope to have kept you good company for all these years. After all, we were always together.
And these memories I hold dear. You've always been extraordinary, Greenblood, but I had to watch over you. You were my responsibility. That didn't leave us much time for friendship.
What about now?
Now? I hope that we'll have more time.
And what if I said yes?
Slow down, fair lady. You're far too noble to be making such offhand propositions to a boorish soldier like me.
I hope to have kept you good company for all these years. After all, we were always together.
And I valued your friendship. But I thought you were referring to another kind of company. And to be honest, you and Constantine aren't exactly my type.
And what if I said yes?
Well, I'd be grateful, I suppose. But sadly, Greenblood, you're not quite my type.
You seemed really attached to Raynor.
He brought some memories back. I was a bit like him at his age, and I felt responsible for his well-being. After all, I recruited him. Why? Don't tell me you're jealous of this poor kid.
You seemed so furious about what happened to him that I wondered if there'd been something more between you two.
Never. You really think I could have taken advantage of the weakness of a kid I was responsible for? I thought you knew me better than that.
Not at all. But your attitude towards him seems almost fatherly. I wondered if you ever thought about having children.
Not really. I'm a soldier's child, and I wouldn't wish that on my worst enemy. But never say never, right?
Don't be foolish. It's just that you seemed so hurt about everything he went through. I wanted to understand how you felt.
That's kind. I'm sorry I made that stupid comment. This whole matter makes me nervous. I should have known that you were far too subtle to feel like that.
You told me that you enlisted at a very young age. But do you have any pleasant memories of your childhood?
Some, yes. Why? What kind of memories were you thinking about?
Why don't you tell me about your first love?
There isn't much to tell. It was pretty soppy, like most childhood flings. You know what I mean. I think I remember you making eyes at some dandy not so long ago.
Oh, Kurt, how can you be so naive? I was only looking at that young idiot to make you feel jealous.
Please, you were but a child. You weren't into old geezers like me back then.
Tell me about a happy memory of yours. A memory that makes you smile.
I have a few sweet but blurry memories of my wet nurse. I remember her smell of crushed flowers and herbs. But when I try to remember something happy, it's the memory of a later event that stirs. The memory of a day when we skipped training to go for a swim in the river. It was spring. We waded for a good part of the afternoon into a marvelous little cold stream, running over a bed of round pebbles. Isn't it odd that that appears to be my happiest memory?
No, it was a moment of freedom. You were carefree. I guess that's why you remember it.
You're right. Since that day, there hasn't been much room in my life for being carefree.
Rolf appeared to know you well. What was he to you? A friend? A rival?
A little bit of both. I wouldn't have willingly chosen him to be my comrade. And yet he was. And he was always picking at me to make sure that he was the best, the strongest, and the most appreciated. I suppose we all have someone like this in our past. Did you not experience that with Constantine?
The two situations are nothing alike. We were never soldiers, and we were not in competition at court. We did not live in the same world as you, Kurt.
Indeed. I apologize for assuming differently.
In fact, Constantine always spared me. But I remember a little pest named Lady Isabel very well. I don't know if you remember, but she could not stop making mean comments to me. She always thought I was too unkempt, never delicate enough. She would do everything in her power to ridicule me.
Yes, I remember now. That brat was really insufferable. You were far superior to her, which probably explains her behavior.
Constantine was never easygoing, but we were friends more often than we were rivals. I know he could be awful towards other children, but he always had a liking for me.
You were, and I think you still are, his only friend. The court has not been kind to him.
It's true. Did you know that his father told him one day that he would never climb up the ladder if he did not start behaving in a noble way? Constantine took it a bit too literally and decided to climb up the city walls.
Yes, I wasn't with you then, but I was told about it. That was the first time you saved his life. You were very brave that day. And if memory serves, thanks to you, he wasn't even punished. You really are the friend everyone dreams of having.
Sieglinde appears to know you well, and to have a lot of respect for you.
We fought together. That brings people closer, you know that. But I can assure you that's all there is to it. Actually, up until now, I've fought by your side more often than I have hers.
And? Do you think you know me?
Well enough, I suppose. Whether it's from all the fighting, or from the many years spent in your shadow, I know not.
Yet you still manage to surprise me.
I certainly hope so. Just as you surprise me often. Finding pleasure in discovering new aspects of one another's personality is half the fun of a relationship, isn't it?
Now that you've taken care of Major Herman, have you begun to think about the future?
Yes. For the first time, I feel free to do so.
It's about time, isn't it? Dwelling on past wounds does not lead anywhere.
After helping me and everything you witnessed, I thought you'd have understood, but apparently I was wrong.
I hope that you'll be happy, Kurt. You deserve it.
I hope so too. And who knows? Perhaps I've found an excellent reason to be.
I hope I will be a part of it.
I must admit that I still find it difficult to believe that someone as gracious as you may have found an interest in someone like me, but nothing would make me happier.